Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Zoom In on the Halal Metropolis, where we're checking in with different members of the Muslim communities around the region to see how they're adjusting and adapting to the new reality under the coronavirus and the statewide stay-at-home order. Here with me today, we have Ghida Dagher. She's the Director of Appointments for Governor Whitmer and the state of Michigan. But now, in light of everything that's been happening, she's added additional hats during the quarantine, including quarterbacking the governor's volunteerism and donations for COVID-19. Ghida, welcome.
Thank you. Salam alaikum. It's good to be with
Walaikum
you.
assalam. Good to see you. So I want to get into some of your roles right now with the state and appointments and volunteering and the state's efforts in fighting all this. Before I do, I just want to check in on you. How are you doing? How's your family doing?
I'm doing well. I'm doing really well. This is such a reminder that our health is our wealth. And with everyone being healthy at home, I cannot complain at all. My sister is a doctor, is on the COVID team in her hospital. And so we are counting our blessings every single day, hearing a lot of stories. And I will say that even from a personal perspective, the work that I'm doing is so energizing to see people come together and how they're reacting to COVID and stepping up. So no complaints at all on my end. I am grateful for everything that we have.
So can you describe your role a little bit with the state of Michigan and Governor Whitmer's office, and then also your new roles that you've taken on in light of everything that's happening?
Yeah, a lot of us have taken on several additional roles. I know a lot of my friends who are at home with their children have now become teachers. We have some other folks who are doing different hats. In my world, typically and usually, and I am the Director of Appointments for Governor Whitmer, and what appointments is appointments of people, not of meetings. And so appointments of personnel to the state's 350 boards, judicial appointments, cabinet level appointments, so essentially personnel. And obviously do a lot of community engagement with several constituencies, including our own Muslim community and Arab American communities as well, the South Asian, multiple communities. But since COVID hit, appointments, of course, have gone on hold, like many things in our lives, and we've had to focus on the most critical and urgent needs that we're seeing in our state. This is a new territory for a lot of us. This is the first time ever in the state's history that we have a statewide emergency at this level. We've had regional, but this is the first time that it's incredibly statewide. And so I've taken off my appointments hat for a little bit, and I've put on some of my old hats that I used to work with, United Ways and nonprofits and all these different organizations and foundations. And I'm helping quarterback the philanthropic efforts for the state on behalf of the governor. And that includes donations, monetary, in-kind, material, also helping coordinate a little bit on volunteerism. And any other sort of innovative opportunities that we're seeing in front of us, I'm able to connect dots on some of those.
So I want to get into the donations, in a second. But in terms of volunteering, how are volunteering efforts being coordinated? Because so many community health clinics and nonprofits and charities are no longer able to coordinate and take volunteers. So what does that mean for you in terms of coordinating volunteering?
Yeah, a couple of things that I want to touch on. Most of the organizations that have been doing services and have stepped up are considered essential. And so they are able to have volunteers as long as they have the PPE that they need to protect the volunteers that they have with them. We want to make sure those are continuing. If there is a need for PPE, we want to know about it. A lot of the relief work that's being done is being done by essential nonprofits. They're the boots on the ground. They're the ones that are reacting first and foremost. And our hats are off to them because of the incredible work that they've been doing. That includes homeless shelters, child care centers at times that are nonprofit. The list is frankly endless. And so it's wonderful to see people have coalesced and done their own initiatives to help support some of them, including, for example, the Michigan Muslim community, who has done some of the grocery shopping and some additional services to support either populations that are immunocompromised or older, right? And so it's wonderful to see a lot of those efforts come together for this. From a state perspective, I want to give a shout out to the Michigan Community Service Commission. The volunteerism for the state is actually housed there, and they are the entity that is carrying a lot of this and are organizing and collaborating with other entities on this. If folks that are interested, I would really encourage them to go to michigan.gov/fightcovid19
Mm,
And that is the hub for all of this online. That
mm,
includes ways to volunteer, includes ways to give. Can learn a little bit more about that. One of the really cool programs that I want to make sure we're flagging for folks to know about is uh, senior citizens who need somebody to go grocery shop for them. They need meals. They can actually go on the website and they can sign up for somebody to do so. And that is all volunteer based and is coordinated with the areas, the different agencies in the areas on senior services to do so. But a lot of it is volunteer run. And that wouldn't be happening without some of those initiatives and some of that manpower that people are committing.
hmm. And so what are some of the options for like those of us that are at home, you know, and we
Yeah,
can't go out, we're not able to volunteer, or, you know, what are some of the ways in which we can give, donate time, expertise?
absolutely.
Yeah, what are things that you can just refer to?
You know, we keep saying we're in this together, and we really are. There is a role for everyone on this.
Yeah.
You know, we have volunteer opportunities for folks to help from home, including contact tracing, which is so important.
Mm,
It's a pathway to getting us out of this, right? Is to understanding who's been in touch with who's been affected by this. It helps us map some of that. So DHHS actually did a call out early on to develop a contact tracing program. Thousands of people signed up for that, but the need is super great. And so
yeah.
anybody that can help from just having a desktop, right, and an internet connection, big community opportunity there. There's also things like I said, the boxes that folks are doing, right? Depending on your capacity, your treasures, whatever it is that you may want to lend to this, there's definitely a way for us to engage. We've had folks that have stepped up from near and far for this. You would be
Mm,
surprised. We've had everybody from foreign entities that want to support the state through this difficult time
yeah.
to schools who have donated their PPE or have retooled their 3D printing to make shields for healthcare
Amazing.
professionals.
Yeah.
It's been incredible to see it step up. We've had celebrities check in on us. We have had folks step in, like the Clara Lionel Foundation yesterday announced a major gift to the state, $3.2 million. That's Rihanna's foundation.
Mm,
And that's going to be supporting nonprofits that are doing essential services in Flint and in Detroit specifically.
mm.
So there is a need for everyone to step in here. What the need looks like is going to change as this changes with us. As we continue to progress, and hopefully there's only progress moving forward at this point,
Yeah.
there's a role for everyone to partake. We have also, I'll flag that we also have folks who have donated in-kind services, in-kind PPE, different
Mm.
material, everything from, you know, it might be diapers for families in need, to food, to PPE. And, you know, it's so funny, many of us have become PPE experts when we've never even heard of the phrase prior to
Yeah,
this,
exactly.
you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So it's been really great to see that.
Yeah. And so you mentioned, I think there was what was the website again? And is that a good place for people to go, just like as a central
Absolutely.
place? Okay. And what was
It
it
is.
again?
It's a central place. It's www.michigan.gov/fight
Okay.
COVID-19.
Okay. We'll also put it in the caption for this
Thanks.
interview,
That'd be
so
great.
so it'll be in
Yeah.
there too. And
Folks
then
can check there to see how they can donate, how they can volunteer. If folks are also interested and have a good source for PPE or other material, there's also a link there for procurement.
this is great. You guys are centralizing all these efforts, and it's amazing to see that. So we'll be sure to get that
Appreciate
out
that.
there.
Yeah.
Now, I know that you're looking across the state at different communities, and you know, one of the things that we know is that some communities are being affected by this much more than others. So can you just walk us
Absolutely.
through that a little bit? Like, what are you seeing? What are the hot spots, and who are the most
Yeah.
vulnerable?
Yeah, absolutely. It's no surprise, I think, at this point, everybody who's been watching the news knows that first and foremost, that this is affecting minority communities more than it's affecting any other community. In particular, African American community
Hmm.
has really carried a brunt of this, and we've seen the highest number of deaths because of that. And that is for multiple reasons. Everything from some of the access to healthcare prior to some of the institutional structures and challenges that exist. You know, and our administration has been very clear that that is a priority for us in addressing that. The governor created a task force on addressing racial disparities. In particular, that's actually chaired by the lieutenant governor himself.
Hmm.
Uh, to give you a snapshot of this, Lieutenant Governor, who is the first African American lieutenant governor in our history, who we're super proud of, grew up in Detroit, is a Detroiter, born and raised, has lost 15 people in his life that he knows to COVID.
Wow.
That is heartbreaking. You know, it is changing families. It is changing how we look at one another, how we should be engaging. And we realize that this affects all aspects of life. And so this task force has come together. It has two arms. It has an arm that looks at the health and one that looks at the community side of things. And they meet regularly. It's a super robust conversation, and it's looking at things from multiple angles. And we're proud of the work that's being done there, and we're going to start seeing some of that come to life. We've had recommendations come from the public. We've had these experts lend their time and their expertise to make sure that we're moving this forward. And they've been really healthy conversation, and we're looking forward to building on that. Well, we're also now seeing a little bit, our numbers are stabilizing in Southeast Michigan, right? We saw it Macomb, Oakland, Wayne, that numbers are stabilizing a little bit. We're plateauing. We're not quite there, as the governor keeps saying, we're not out of the woods, but we're seeing some improvements. We're actually seeing some additional numbers on the west side of the state go up. And so we need to be careful and are continuing to, you know, have a pulse on every local health department, having a pulse on community organizations, on the needs, on the numbers to do so. I will say, and I want to give a nod to DHHS, they were among the first in the country to break down data on COVID by race and ethnicity. We were leading the charge on that because it's something that's very important to us. We are so proud of the vibrancy and the diversity in our state. And that's not just a talking point. These are people, these are faces, this is us, right? And we want to make sure that everybody's being taken care of and we're aware of the problems that are happening.
You know, a big question that's on a lot of people's minds, I'm sure you're getting this a lot, is, you know, kind of just if you're able to speculate a little bit on you know, when we can probably start loosening things up a little bit and I don't want to say loosening up, but things kind of going back to normal. Are there any thoughts on that? I mean, of course, it's driven, of course, on a state level by a public health informed perspective, but
Absolutely.
What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so yesterday the governor actually announced a plan for everybody it's public, and I'm happy to share that with you too, so you can include that in the information.
Please do, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a Safe Start program is what we're calling the Safe Start plan. And it's 6 phases, and it outlines what each phase looks like and what falls under that. Gatherings, what businesses can open, etc. Of the 6 phases, we're actually in phase number 3. Which means that we're seeing progress. Yep, we're seeing progress, but we're not quite there. We still have several steps to go. Phase 6 is post-pandemic. So we're nowhere near that. We're definitely still mid-pandemic. You know, we're hoping that it's more of, we're not in the eye of the storm where it's about to get worse, but we're more actually coming off, right? And so I'm happy to share that with folks, and it actually maps out what businesses will open when, what kind of gatherings. For our community in particular, the question that I keep getting is, are we going to be able to do Eid at the masjid, or are we going to be able to get together? And sadly, I don't think we'll be in a place where we can have gatherings at that size. And what we describe as normal may not be for some time, right? We're all going to have some adjusted way of life for a while, I think.
Yeah. Well, Ghida, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. This was a really wonderful and informative conversation. You know, best of luck to you in the next couple of months, as I know you guys are working super hard to get things back to normal in the state. And I should have mentioned Happy Ramadan, Ramadan Mubarak.
Ramadan Mubarak to you too, and to your loved ones.
And stay safe, and hopefully we'll be able to see each other in person at some point in the next few months. So.
I look forward to sometime giving an update, maybe with some great news for all of us.
That would be so great. Yeah, we'd love to reconnect at that point. Yeah, thank you so much.
Sounds good.
Take care.
Thanks
Have a
for
great
having
rest
me.
of your day. Assalamu alaikum.
Take care.